Hey, what's up, everyone? I am outside of the vehicle right now. I'm gonna go out and take care of a few things. Gonna mow the yard and pick up some sticks and things, and just get a few necessary things done. Because obviously, that's always never a finished job. But before I did so, I wanted to make a quick video. They say it's gonna rain, so I'm gonna try to just make a quick video while it's on my mind. There are so many Mandela effects that happen personally that really it can get quite annoying. For example, when Daddy was talking on the phone with us earlier, and we were talking about how we remembered him. Right now, he's sort of thinking, I don't know if the word is existential, but outside the box. Right now, he's thinking about things that, how he said everything is so amazing, the intricate detail of everything, and how when you're sleepiest, your mind thinks mostly about that stuff. But he said it's amazing that when you dream and you want to keep dreaming with a good dream and you want to continue it, but he said then when you wake up and you don't want to continue a bad dream and you go back to sleep, because his dad always said, Pop always stated that life is a dream. Life is like a dream. And that preacher that preached at his funeral, his memorial, I should say, stated that you're not dead. The spirit, when it moves on, and you're just resting and things like that. He would talk about, he would say that he would state things about how you're going to hear spirit activity. That's what he told my Nana. You're going to see and hear things when he passed away. And that weirded Nana out because she never really thought about anything, didn't really like to believe anything like that or think about ghost or spirit activity. But she started hearing and seeing things, and she was like, oh no, hon, not now. Don't do that, please. I can't take it. So the activity eased off. But she did experience some things. But she doesn't talk about it. She's one of those people that don't like to talk about anything, or doesn't really. She acts like she doesn't believe anything, supernatural, paranormal, cryptid, interdimensional, anything. She won't talk about anything like that, period. You can't talk to her about things like that most of the time. She always usually either laughed at it, scoffed at it, or ignored it, mostly because she didn't want to think about it. Kind of because she kind of lives up there by herself. She really doesn't like to, in the woods, and doesn't like to think about Sasquatch stuff and things like that, because I understand why, really. But I mean, she just doesn't want to talk about it. She never does, except only when a few things happen to her and she can't explain it, maybe. And not always. But here's the thing about what Daddy was talking about. He doesn't remember. Mama and I were saying, yes, you left this book of dreams under a drawer. A book of your dreams that you had. Dreams and out-of-body experiences that you had as a child, because he's left his body several times. During a surgery, he remembers seeing his body. I don't know if that even happened to him in this whatever we live in, whether the memory's been erased or I don't know. Honestly, I don't know how this whole thing works. I assume we're shifting. Maybe something's glitching reality itself. I don't know. I know that he doesn't remember this book of dreams that he wrote down. He said he wished he'd written all of his dreams down. And I said, you did have a book of dreams when you were a child. But I said, when y'all moved from up north, they used to live up in New Jersey. They moved there as a child, and he left that book of dreams up there. And he stated that he doesn't remember doing that. He doesn't remember what we're talking about. Mama and I said, yes. Mama and I both told him, yes, we remember you stating that. I said, I hate when things like that happen and people don't have the memory anymore. But he left his body during a surgery, during his tonsil surgery. I think it was tonsil surgery. During a surgery he had as a child, I think he had cleft palate surgery. I think he left his body during that. And he was above his body. And he witnessed them doing everything, trying to bring him back. And then the spirit went back into his body. But he was leaving his body and witnessed everyone around him. And he almost drowned once, and you remember leaving his body there then, and someone brought him back. So that's happened to him several times. And I don't know if he still remembers it in this existence, but that's some of the situations, out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences, I should say, that have happened with him. But he doesn't remember that book. Now, sadly, he left a whole bunch of coins that would have been worth a lot of money. I don't know why he did that. He left that where we used to live. It's gone now. Someone else got him, I'm sure. But the thing is, he has had out of body experiences, and he doesn't remember one of the things that he wrote down. He said, "I wish I'd have written all my dreams down, a book of my dreams, a book of dreams." Well, here's the thing: he had a booklet of his dreams, a dream diary as a child, and he has no recollection of it now. I don't know whether something is glitching things and keeping him from remembering it or what, but Mama and I both remember him telling that story. Thankfully, Mama remembers it. And it seems like most everything's gone back to normal. My parents and everything seems similar to like it was. It's just we don't share all of the same memories, but we share some of them. But when people think outside of the box, he's thinking more of why, how perfect everything is of the miracle of existence. And I think about that a lot of times too. He was stating how God put everything just so, for us to be able to live just so. And without that everything being in perfect alignment, we would not exist. And I said, well, I think of the multiverse being like each brain cell in the mind of God. That's the way I kind of interpret things in my mind, because it says, because of God you shall exist, because he exists, so shall we. Well, that's what I remember anyway. If you can find that Bible verse, I remember that. Because he exists, so shall he shall make us. Because he exists, so shall we. I remember that being stated somewhere. But back to that, he stated that God stated, that that basically all things are inside of him, and that right there led me to think of that we're inside God, or we're inside the mind or body of God, and that in him all things hold together. That in him all things hold together. Think about that verse. That's very very deep to think about. There's another thing, how many of us will have dreams that are like out-of-body experiences, where we'll leave our body, or various things like that. We leave our body, and we remember some of the vivid details of it. Sometimes we don't. And I've gone to places that are like the past, and people will look at me like, how did you get here? Or who are you? And I would be leaving. One time I remembered as a child, I seen a spirit, and I realized that looked like me when I'm older. Now that I went back, I chose to go to a time, and that was the exact time I went to. It's like those two times intersected. And I left out of my body and went there. A time in second grade. Another thing about me is I've written things. There's an asteroid they call the God of Danger, or God of Doom, or something. God of Destruction. I don't know what they're calling it. And it's kind of like Apophis. And I wrote about that in fourth grade. I was like a little Nostradamus when I was little. And dates would pop into my mind, things would pop into my head. I would look them up at the library computers, and instead of doing the actual schoolwork, I was always obsessed with things I could do nothing about, and things beyond what other people thought about. So I looked up these asteroids, and this asteroid that was, I don't even know how I looked it up or found it, but I looked up Apophis, and I looked up how there would be an asteroid coming by in 2029 and return 7 years later. And I wrote about it. And then I find out, and also it was in the Science magazine as well back then, so I went and looked it up. Well, now they're stating that an asteroid they call the God of Destruction, or God of Chaos, or something like that, is going to be, it's dubbed that name. And they said, we've got to figure out a way to deter asteroids and remove them away from the Earth. And that's an asteroid that I wrote about a long time ago. I wrote about weather changes, climate changes. I wrote about the temperature variations, how it would be really warm in the day, cool at night. There'd be such various temperatures that climate chaos would ensue, and I wrote about things like that as a child. But what really annoys me is how maybe something is veiling things for some people, so they can only... Sylvia Browne was a psychic who always said that God will only give you what you can handle. I mean, she always said, Lord, don't give me more than I can handle. And that's what she would always state. Please don't give me more than I can handle. And she would say that, she would tell them to go to the light whenever there would be a negative entity or something that was bothering her consistently. Sylvia Browne, the psychic, I really liked her, and I watched her a lot because I was obsessed with things like that growing up, and I would watch her a lot. I had a lot of spiritual experiences growing up that were very, very very, very deep. And what other people would consider somewhat crazy, I would experience. And I was actually depended on in elementary school by the other students because I would sit in the room, even though because I was always so kind, I was somewhat ostracized, and the teachers in elementary treated me very wrong. They would always say, "Come here," and the principal would say, "Come here," and I'd done nothing. I had done nothing wrong. They got me in trouble, put me in a room to myself in the dark, and put me in trouble for saying, "Excuse me," or "I'm sorry." And they'd say, "I said no talking," and they'd say, "Nope, go to the principal's office." And that principal would put her hand toward me and always reference that stupid big paddle she had, and they were always I tried to go to a Christian school, a private school growing up, thanks to my granny could help pay for that when she was alive. After that, and then I wasn't able to go. But that school was just really, the people were stuck up, and they did not represent believers in Christ very well at all. I'll tell you that. I'll just say that. And the teachers were so strict, the principal was so strict, and they hurt my aura and stunted my energy and inner spirituality. They stunted it. They did not help it. They stunned it, and they really didn't help me at all. And that was what happened to me in elementary school, middle school. Now, then my middle school teachers were hateful. Then high school was okay, but still they still didn't understand me. I went to so many different doctors, experts. I could probably count 10 different doctors and experts, and they did CAT scans. They did so many different scans, CT scans. They did so much blood work. They did it was hundreds of thousands of dollars of work that thankfully TennCare Kids covered at the time for me. And over skin issues, I went to a skin specialist, dermatologist. I went to a foot doctor because of the problems as a child, and none of them helped me. So I just said, I quit that. It didn't do me any good. And they went to multiple tests. They did chest scans and x-rays and trying to find out what was wrong. And they did various things. When I was going through all that pain, they did chest scans and heart EKGs and everything. And even though I was going through super pain then, they said if something doesn't happen in front of us, there's really nothing we can do. And even when I would throw up or get really sick or have irritable bowel right there, that's what they just didn't. I don't know. That's the way it was, and that's the way it is. Now you can't get help at all either. When they would send me to the hospital and pump fluids through my system, that helped out. But that only helped out for like a few days, maybe 3, and it was like I was looking at a whole new world when I got out of there. Everything was new and bright and positive, and it looked so different. But now you can't go to the doctor or hospital. But the teachers were awful. But you think about the out-of-body experiences, and Daddy was thinking about all of the, it's weird that Daddy doesn't remember that. He doesn't remember that book of dreams. My mama and I remember it, but he doesn't. This version of us remember it, and he does not remember it. But they swear they remember me making a video of a ghost orb that had an image of a ghost inside it. Maybe something's glitching reality, I don't know, but they swear they remember, and I don't recall it whatsoever, so that's similar to that. I recall none of that they talk about, that ghost orb. They said, it would prove ghosts and spirits forever. I think I would have saved that in a special card somewhere, a special place, under a special folder and file, had I done that. But they say that they remember it. Daddy remembers it vividly. Mama remembers it, and I don't remember it at all, taking that video. But anyway, I just thought I'd share some Mandela effect stuff in this podcast. I'm going to go ahead and get some things done before the rain comes. Google and Amazon and everything, they all said, the local weather, they stated 12 or 1, And then Google and Amazon, they said, nope, no rain. And then they said, Amazon said, oh, okay, yeah, it's going to rain today at 2 p.m. And then now they say 5 p.m. And then it's going to rain all night. Then it's going to rain tomorrow. And so you just can't really tell based on the weather predictions what it's going to do anymore. But that's just my podcast on this. I've got another Mandela effect video to do really quickly next. And thank you for watching, or listening, I should say, to this podcast. I love you all so much. If you'd like to help out, because I can't do this without you, please feel free to donate to PayPal. The link is below. And I will probably try to put a link to another video if this will let me. And I will also put my email. So peace, much love. I'll talk soon. If I don't respond for a little while, it's because I'm outside doing things and in the house doing some things. So peace. I'm out.